A woman walks into Hermès in Beverly Hills. She asks to buy a Birkin bag. The sales associate smiles politely. "I'm sorry, he can't sell you one." The woman pulls out her black card. "I have $80,000 right here, right now." The associate doesn't budge. It's not about the money. You have to earn the right to buy this bag. Think about that for a second. A store refusing to take $80,000 from a customer. In any normal business, this is insane. If someone wants to give you money, you take it. But Hermès doesn't want her money. Not yet. She hasn't spent enough on other items first. She hasn't proven she's worthy. And here's the strangest part. This makes people want the bag more. Welcome to the Veblen Effect, the economic principle that breaks everything you think you know about how humans make decisions. Here's the rule. When most products get more expensive, demand goes down. That's economics 101. But with certain products, the more expensive they get, the more inaccessible they become, the more people want them. Not in spite of the price, because of it. And once you see this pattern, you'll see it everywhere. In fashion, in tech, in cars, in real estate, and probably in your own bank account. The streetwear brand Supreme releases a product, not a limited edition sneaker, not a designer hoodie, a brick, an actual construction brick. Red clay, weighs about 5 pounds. The only difference from a normal brick, their logo stamped on the side. Retail price, $30. And sells out in seconds. Resale price within 24 hours, $1,000 for a brick that you could buy at Home Depot for $0.45. Now, you might be thinking, those people are idiots. I would never do something that stupid. Hold that thought. Because last year, the global luxury goods market hit $354 billion. That's not a few rich eccentrics. That's millions of people across every income level making the same irrational choice. And here's the question that should make you uncomfortable. Have you ever wanted something more because it was expensive? Be honest. Let me show you how deep this goes. Stanford researchers ran an experiment. They gave people identical vodka, same bottle, same liquid, literally the exact same drink. But they told half the group, this is a $15 bottle, and the other half, this is a $150 bottle. Then they asked them to rate the taste. The results? The people who thought they were drinking expensive vodka rated it as smoother, better quality, more enjoyable. Their brains literally experienced it differently. The $150 label didn't just change their opinion, it changed their perception of reality. A Norwegian-American economist named Thorstein Veblen publishes a book, The Theory of the Leisure Class. Veblen was watching the Gilded Age unfold. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Vanderbilt, J.P. Morgan, an era of grotesque wealth inequality. Mansions with more rooms than a hotel. Dinner parties that cost more than a factory worker's lifetime earnings. And Veblen noticed something. The ultra-wealthy weren't buying things because they were useful. They were buying things because they were wasteful. Usefulness was almost offensive. He called it conspicuous consumption, the deliberate act of spending money on things specifically to display that you can waste it. Think about that word, waste. A $200,000 watch doesn't tell time better than a $200 watch. In fact, a $20 Casio is probably more accurate. A Lamborghini doesn't get you to work better than a Toyota. It gets worse gas mileage, costs more to maintain, has less trunk space. But that's not a bug. That's the entire point. The impracticality is what makes it valuable because it proves something. It proves you have so much money that you can afford to waste it. When you see someone wearing a $40,000 Rolex, your brain doesn't think that person knows what time it is. You think that person has way more than $40,000 because only someone genuinely wealthy would spend that much on a watch. The expensive price is a filter. It keeps out people who can't afford the signal. And that's exactly what makes it work. A $40,000 Rolex signals wealth. A $400 homage watch that looks similar signals nothing because everyone knows it's $400. Normal economics works like this. Price goes up, demand goes down. But Veblen Goods flip the script. Price goes up, demand goes up until you hit a ceiling because at a certain point, literally no one can afford it. But before that ceiling, higher price is higher desirability. This is why luxury brands do something that seems insane. They raise prices to increase demand. They destroy unsold inventory instead of putting it on sale. They create artificial scarcity even when they could produce more. Louis Vuitton burns bags that don't sell. Burberry destroyed $37 million worth of products in a single year. Not because they hate money, because accessibility kills luxury. Coach learned this the hard way. In the 1990s, Coach was a premium brand, exclusive, aspirational. Then, in the early 2000s, they decided to grow. They opened outlet stores, lowered prices, made bags more accessible. Revenue exploded. Wall Street loved it, but something else happened. The brand started appearing everywhere. It stopped being special. By 2013, Coach was being called the brand your mom carries. Revenue crashed. The brand value collapsed. It took them years and a complete rebrand brand a tapestry to recover. What happened? They forgot the rule. In luxury, scarcity is the product. Supreme understands this perfectly. They pioneered a model called drop culture. Release limited quantities, create artificial scarcity, make people line up for hours, then release bizarre products just to prove they can. A brick, a crowbar, a fire extinguisher, a literal cinder block, and people buy them. Not because they need a Supreme branded crowbar, because owning one signals, I'm part of the in-group. I was there. I got it when most people couldn't. The resale market does the rest. That $30 brick sells for $1,000. And suddenly, Supreme isn't a clothing brand. It's a status system with its own economy, its own hierarchy, its own language. Now here's the uncomfortable part. You might be thinking, that's just rich people being stupid. But the Veblen effect doesn't only work at the top. It works at every income level. You see it in the teenager working minimum wage, spending $400 on Travis Scott Nikes. The 23-year-old making $50,000, leasing a BMW they can barely afford. The young professional financing a $3,000 designer handbag over 6 months. Everyone has a reference group. Everyone is comparing. Everyone is playing the game. Even you, especially you. Why do we do this? Because for 99% of human history, status meant survival. If you were high status in your tribe, you got first choice of food. You attracted better mates. You had protection. Your children had better odds. Low status meant last pick of resources, social exclusion, worse survival odds. So your brain evolved to be obsessed with status. It's not shallow. It's survival wiring. The problem, that wiring is now plugged into a modern economy where status isn't shown through hunting ability or tribal rank. It's shown through products. And here's where it gets really dark, because status is relative. It's not about having expensive things. It's about having more expensive things than the people around you, which creates a treadmill. Someone in your friend group buys a luxury bag. Now that's the baseline. So you need to buy one too. But now everyone has one. So it's not special anymore. So someone buys something more expensive and the cycle continues. Veblen saw this in the Gilded Age. Wealthy families building bigger mansions to outdo their neighbors. More servants, more gold, more excess. We see it today on Instagram. Luxury travel, designer outfits, exclusive restaurants. The treadmill never stops because the goal isn't the object. It's the distance from everyone else. And luxury brands know this. They're not just selling products. They're managing a status economy. That's why Hermes doesn't just sell you a Birkin. You have to build the purchase history first. Spend $20,000, $50,000 on other items. Then maybe they'll offer you the chance to buy the bag. It's not about the money. It's about maintaining the scarcity. Because if everyone who wanted a Birkin could buy one, the waiting list would disappear, and so would the desire. The bag is valuable because most people can't have it. The moment that changes, the value evaporates. So, is this behavior irrational? If your goal is pure utility, getting the best product for the lowest price, then yes, absolutely. But if your goal is social signaling, then it's perfectly rational. A $100,000 car might not drive better than a $30,000 car. But if it helps you close business deals, changes how people perceive you, opens doors that were previously closed, then economically, it might be worth it. Veblen wasn't saying conspicuous consumption is stupid. He was saying it's a strategy. The question is, are you using the strategy consciously, or is the strategy using you? Here's how you know. Most people don't realize they're susceptible to the Veblen effect. They genuinely believe they're buying quality, or that they just like the brand. But research shows when you remove the logo, people can't identify luxury products in blind tests. When you hide the price, perceived quality drops. When you make something cheaper, demand falls. The effect is real and it's invisible. It only works when you don't see it. But once you do see it, once you notice that you want something more because it's expensive, you gain a choice. You can still buy expensive things. This isn't about judging your purchases, but now you know why you want them. If you're buying expensive things because everyone around you you think you're supposed to, you want to feel successful, you're afraid of being left behind, then you're on the treadmill. Spending money to prove you have money, which means you have less money, which means you need to work harder to maintain the appearance, which means you have less freedom. Veblen called it pecuniary emulation, trying to match the spending of people wealthier than you. It's a game with no finish line. Here's what the Veblen effect actually teaches us. Price isn't just information about cost. It's a tool. Luxury brands use it to manufacture desire, consumers use it to signal status, and your brain uses it as a shortcut to determine value. None of this is good or bad. It just is. The system works this way whether you like it or not. The trap is forgetting you're in the system, thinking your preferences are purely your own, believing you want something because of what it is instead of what it costs. That's when the Veblen effect controls you. Veblen wrote The Theory of the Leisure Class 125 years ago, but nothing has changed. changed. The products are different. Gilded Age mansions became luxury cars. Grand estates became designer handbags. But the pattern is identical. Humans still need status. We still compare, we still want what others can't have. The Veblen effect isn't a bug in human psychology. The question is, now that you see it clearly, now that you know how it works, what will you do differently? Next time you feel that pull, that desire that grows because something is expensive, because everyone wants it, because most people can't have it, pause and ask yourself one question. Am I buying this because I value what it is, or because I value what it signals? There's no wrong answer, but there is an honest one. And the difference between the two is the difference between using the system and being used by it.